Okay, hi, LinkedIn, hi, YouTube. We are also streaming this to a podcast. I am very excited. I am here today with Bruno Aziza from Oracle. Hi, Bruno.
Hi Bernard, great to be with you. How you doing?
And I'm really good, really good. Today we're talking about the vital role of data and analytics in business. The role today and in the future. While we're waiting for people to come on, what is how has coronavirus impacted your life? What has changed? You're based in the Bay Area, so how is life there?
Well, so it's affected, of course, how we interact with customers. We like to see our customers face to face and meet them wherever we can. So, of course, that's making it a lot more challenging. It's also making it challenging to work as a team because a lot of the decisions we make are based on the human relationship we have with my direct teams, but also the teams that we work with. However, we've built a few good practices that hopefully they help your audience here. Every day we have a stand-up call. It's a 8:30 a.m. Pacific. I have a distributed team, so it's 8:30 for the Pacific folks, but it could be different time zones for folks in Romania and India and so forth. But the point, though, is that we all get together 8:30. It's a 30-minute conversation. It's structured where the owner of that day goes through their scorecard, but also encourages conversations and so forth. And every Friday, we do a little bit of a fun activity where people turn on their camera. We tell jokes. I have this randomizer app on my phone that I run where I tell people, be ready with your joke, because when I run your number here, you're on point to giving jokes. So we found ways to essentially humanize the relationship. We've also invited customers and partners to join us on those Friday stand-ups, and sometimes for particular celebrations. For us, a few weeks ago, it was last week, was Cinco de Mayo, which is a celebration here in the U.S. That's observed. And so we invited our Irish partner, Vertis Cloud. They don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo in Ireland, but we thought, it'd be fun for them. So we welcomed them into the call. We clapped for them. We all had Mexican hats for the celebration. So we found ways to stay effective and then kind of, have human connectiveness. I've written a blog about that. So if people want to find out how to do that with their team, there's kind of the 5 rules of effective stand-up. I call this be virtually unstoppable.
Very good. What we want to do with the live stream is to engage with the audience. So I would love to know where you're all from. So if you let me know, say hello using the LinkedIn comment functions. Feel free to use the symbols to like and clap and whatever you feel appropriate. We are also trying to answer as many of the audience questions as possible. So I will monitor what is going on and hopefully shout out and say hello to people as they join. Bruno, we've known each other now for how long? 20 years or so, must be?
Yeah, 20 plus. Yeah. I remember when you starting your institute. Yeah.
So good to have you on the live stream.
Yeah, I'm excited to be with you again. We'll be together in person again soon, but this works pretty well.
Yeah, last time we had dinner in London, the time before in San Francisco. We need to find another exciting place.
Yeah, we got to go to France next.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think you've always taken me to a French restaurant so far.
That's my rule.
Very good. So let's kick this off. In terms of data and analytics, do you actually think it has become more important in today's world where we're facing this pandemic, or do you think has become more or less important since COVID-19?
I think I've got a bias, of course, opinion on it, but if I look at what customers are doing, I think it actually has become a lot more important for them. In fact, I was reading yesterday research in Forbes because I was wondering how much of the analytics projects have been affected by this crisis. It turns out it's less than 10% of projects are being affected by it. And I think it's just a realization that, data analytics has a lot of benefits for us. Of course, before this crisis, it allowed us to understand what was going on in the world and then make decisions based on actual data and so forth. But now we're in a situation where we're having to be challenged, right? We can't go out and see what's happening in the world. So we're actually relying more and more on systems and ways to measure that are there for us when we can't be there. So I think certainly from the reaction that we're seeing, customers are spending more time. They are asking for more advice to deploy faster because they realize in some cases they don't know how long this new world is going to last. In a way, we'll go back to something that for certain was different from what it was before. And so I think customers are actually taking the opportunity to transform faster using data analytics.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And
it's true an investment in the cloud as well. If you look at companies that had issues managing the on-premise environment, so forth, now is one of the best times that they can be using to embrace the cloud and then leverage the global infrastructure to manage their machines, their systems, and take advantage of the amazing scale that vendors are providing out for them. So they don't have to send those workers in person and maintain these machines.
Yeah, I completely agree. We've got lots of people on the stream already. We've got 5,000-6,000 people logged on. We've had Mafat from Morocco, Michel from Lyon in France. So
bonjour, Michel.
Yeah. Rajika from India, Turkey from Saudi Arabia, Keishan from Australia, Edna from Mombasa in Kenya, and David from San Francisco, Juan from Catalonia. So a truly global audience. I'm super excited.
That's outstanding.
When we talk about business, what are some of the areas and where data has become particularly important for businesses at the moment and maybe in the future? Maybe you can start this broadly across all the key functions that you're seeing. Sure. We had one particular question here come in from Dr. Mohammed Tash from Egypt, who asked, how can data analytics improve the human resource management function? Maybe we can dive into that as well.
For sure. So I think in general, you'll find that data analytics is useful just about any division that you see in your organization: marketing, sales, operations, HR. I think in particular nowadays, now I've got a perspective from working at Oracle, where we work with organizations that are using data analytics in their business critical functions, right? So, and what we mean by that is primarily finance and HR, where people are trying to, one, make sure they have a good handle on their revenue machine, they understand profit, they understand the leverage they have to stay afloat, focus on areas that are helpful to their business. So finance was extremely important, but I think it's particularly becoming important now. And then, of course, HR, which I think is the question from one of your attendees here. I think HR is particularly important because, if you think of modern organizations, their number one resource, the oxygen of the organization is their people. So managing their workforce is extremely important. So now the combination of finance and HR starts becoming interesting when you're able to say, okay, well, I could do revenue and profit by employee count, but then I can also kind of connect these revenue numbers with my retention strategies and my training abilities of these employees, so people can be more engaged, people can be more happy, and then it also helps my business. So I think we've seen a lot of focus. If you look at some of the content we provided yesterday in our summit, you'll hear from companies that are managing this on-premise. You hear from Jacob, one of the largest well-designed organization, is talking about how they've handled that, and you'll hear stories of companies that are dealing with this very same problem in cloud environments as well. So I think across cloud, on-prem, and in hybrid environments, everybody's hyper-focused today on finance and HR. And to answer specifically the question from one of your attendees here on HR, there are many dimensions on how data can help with HR and workforce. And it's not just keeping track of your employees and how long they've been there. It's also connecting them with your revenue machine, so you know how you can make your employees engaged and productive regardless of the conditions.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm seeing. Lots of businesses are trying to come to terms with this new reality. Many of them are fighting for survival. So looking at finance, looking at HR are absolutely vital. And we've got Faber from Colombia. Hi, Faber. Kunsang from New York City. Mega from Brussels. Carlos from Mexico. Jason from Washington, D.C. The I think Oracle made an announcement yesterday about some of the new offerings which are in relation to finance and HR.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit more about what this is?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about our strategy. If you're unfamiliar with Oracle Analytics offering, we essentially, at a very high level, we have 3 levels of offerings for you as a customer. The first one is a product called Oracle Analytics Cloud, which is a cloud-first and AI-first analytics platform. And so it provides everything you might expect, self-service, and a very modern approach to analytics. And that's our flagship product. We talked about this last year at the summit, and it's a product we continue to improve and is getting a significant pickup. We have a product called the Oracle Analytics Server, which is sometimes confuse people. When you hear a server, you think it's a box or a machine. That's not at all what it is. All of this is software. It is the Oracle Analytics Cloud software that you can now deploy on your premise in case you want to deploy in your own location, or if you want to deploy in a hybrid motion where you have some data in the cloud and some data on premise. So we created this product over this last year, Oracle Analytics Server. And the third area of product lines that we have are these Oracle Analytics solutions for applications. So if you're an Oracle application customer, for instance, if you have a financial application or if you have an HR application, we have a turnkey analytics solution for you. We announced the first iteration of that product last year at Open World, where you and I met in the US, and it was called the Oracle Analytics for ERP, so it's for your finance system. And yesterday we announced the same product, but now for HR, which brings a lot of benefits to our customers, where now not only can they do turnkey, built-in, ready-to-go analytics on top of finance, but they can also now do the same thing for HR. So bringing benefits for each domain, but also bringing benefits across domains, which is kind of what we talked about here, is this idea of bringing both the world of finance and the world of people together, so you can help organizations get better results regarding conditions.
Very good. I just had a question come in from Eves saying, how do you see AI play a role in HR? Which is...
Yeah. So is it Yves from France? Where is Yves from? It's a very French name.
Yeah, no, I was just checking this. Let me see. Just trying to see where she's from. I can't actually see it on her profile.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm going to assume they're French, which I assume about everyone anytime anyway. So that doesn't change. I'm kidding. So the use of AI is
from Belgium.
Belgium. Okay. All right. We're close enough.
Yeah.
The use of AI, I think, just is relevant just about any area that you look at. And in HR in particular, it is particularly interesting because, it takes you, away from the, how would I say this, the dry and the traditional way of just measuring the number of employees you have and how long they've been at the company and what their MBOs have been and how they've achieved that. I think most organizations know how to do this, and that's, table stake. But the work that we've been doing on artificial intelligence, often referred to as AI, I always talk about the idea that AI doesn't stand for artificial intelligence anymore. It stands for applied and invisible AI. So why am I saying that? Because in the case of a business application like HR, you want AI to operate in the background where you actually don't see the benefit of it. In fact, most of the benefits we get today on AI is not something that we see. We can't really point, oh, that was AI doing a recommendation, or that was AI, suggesting a change in this area, in that area. So the fact that it's invisible is something that I think is really important for us to embrace. And there's a flip side to that, which your AI models need to be open, so and it's a domain called explainable AI, so what actually is happening in the AI model. But apply is where I'm going to address your question here on, has to be applied to the domain. So you take the example of HR, for instance, where you might not know the attributes. You think you might know the attributes of an effective employee when you just look at dry metrics like, how much time they're spending on a project and what they're achieving against their goal. But there might be other attributes. For instance, how engaged they are, the data that you might be collecting through surveys that are outside of your application, how they collaborate, and this might be related to data you get from their 360 evaluation that's text-based, right? So you need AI now to go out and mine all this data and then correlate it with the performance of the employee and maybe their tenure at the company and so forth, to try and start codifying what does the culture of an effective organization look like. And you'll be surprised, because once you start mining a lot of data that is in a different shape and a different form, it's complex.
Yeah.
And so that's where you absolutely need to use the machine to do it for you, because traditional processes just don't work for you. So that's where I would look at is AI making your daily tasks better and faster, but also AI allowing you to discover things that traditional methods just would not have allowed you to see.
Do you have any really good real-world examples of how some of your customers are using those tools?
Yeah, we have about 60 customer examples people will get to experience through the Oracle Analytics Summit that we launched yesterday. It's a weekly series of examples, and you'll get to hear companies like Schneider Electric. So Schneider Electric, I think a lot of people in Europe have heard of the company. It's 100,000 employees. It's got thousands of HR professionals. And if you listen to the story of Manisha, who leads the analytics deployment there, she's able to achieve 95% adoption of her HR system. So that tells you, 95, you and I have been in the industry for a long time, and 95% adoption is not something that you see often. In fact, 50% adoption is not something that you see often. And so I really encourage you to go into these sessions and take a look and ask these practitioners their best practice on how they deploy their solutions. You've got great folks like Luca at Generali. Generali is one of the largest insurance companies in the world, where he explains how he's able to measure the engagement of employees and then better the training. A big part of how you're using analytics today is how you connect it to action. So that's where we feel that analytics embedded in applications is important, especially in the case of HR, because say you've identified that training module is particularly effective at motivating or helping people get to the next level. Well, you need the ability to actually enforce that training inside the application. If you do this in a separate application that's on its island, well, you just have data. And now what happens next? And so that's where I would encourage people to look for, is don't just think about analyzing the data in cool and new ways. Think about how you connect it to your actions, especially when it comes to people, because you need to train people. You need to learn from their best practices. And the only way to do that is to take action on the insights.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Let's have a few more shout outs here. Jabulile from South Africa. Hi, Matcha from Switzerland. Got Ivan from Bolivia. Mahmoud from Qatar. Jabil from Saudi Arabia. And AJ from the UK.
Wow.
Yes.
Really quite global. It's amazing.
It is. You were having this summit you mentioned, the Analytics Summit. Tell me a little bit more about what happened there. What did you learn? Who was there? How can people get involved in this in the future?
Yeah. So the first thing to know is this summit is not a one-time event. And if you didn't attend it yesterday, that is not a problem. Go to oracle.com/OA Summit, and then you'll get access to the content that we played yesterday on demand, but you also get access to the experience. So you might have known that last year we did this Oracle Analytics Summit in person here in California at a great locations, the Skywalker Ranch, and it was really great success because it allowed the community to come together. The way we think about these events is these are not an opportunity for us to just talk at you. These are really platforms for the community to come together and talk with each other and give us feedback. And so that's been kind of our approach. And I think that's why the event last year was very successful. This year, we were ready to do this with twice as many people, and we booked a bigger venue and so forth. But because of this crisis, we had to change our approach. And what we realized is that in a time of crisis like this, doing a one-day event where you're shoving all the content at once is overwhelming, and it doesn't really help the community. So what we've done is we've created a weekly series where for the next 14 weeks, you're going to be able to come back and get access to more content, ask more questions. We've created this site called oracle.com Ask OA. So ask, like the word ask, and then OA, where you can ask questions that we will handle continuously. So what we've created is a way basically to be there for our customers every week across customer best practices, technology innovation sessions, abilities for them to co-create the event with us. So another great best practice we deployed is this call for papers. So if you are an attendee and you say, you know what, Francesco yesterday talked about data science, but I have a best practice I want to share with the community, submit your idea and we'll put it on the track. So it's a new way, if you will, to embrace this digital platform to help our customers, who I think we're in a time where they need us more. They don't need us less. You know, it breaks my heart every time I see these companies that are canceling events or they're postponing events. You know, we should come together and come up with a way to help each other better, because people need us more, especially when they're stuck at home. And that's the idea of the summit.
So if you were to reflect on the summit you had yesterday and think about, okay, what were some of the key messages? What innovations did customers share? So for anyone who missed this, what were you saying? Before you answer, let me just do a few more shout outs here from hi Manuel from Brazil, Etienne from Switzerland, Natalie from Moldova, John from Dublin, Ireland, and Ralph from Munich in Germany.
Well, so, guten Tag or guten Abend.
Yes, guten Tag.
So what they missed yesterday? So yesterday was the kickoff of the event. We had a keynote where we gave them a preview, you know, kind of an updates on everything that we've done, and also a preview on kind of what we're thinking about what's happening in the future. So that's really a quick keynote. Also, you'll notice the content is fast-paced, shorter. So we didn't turn the in-person content into this boring Zoom where you're gonna have to sit for 45 minutes. So it's not what all we did. We really adapted the format to the digital format like what we're doing here. So that's one. You get that keynote. In that keynote, you also get a tremendous amount of customer examples, NMAR intelligence, Jacob, like I mentioned earlier. So you get examples of companies that are on-prem, companies that are in the cloud, companies that are hybrid, and talking about their best practices. Then we end this keynote. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so what were some of the key messages from the keynote?
So the messages around the keynote was around this launch of this application that we talked about earlier, right? So analytics for HR applications. We also did a demonstration of what it looks like at your organization. So for some of the folks that are asking, okay, tangibly, what does the use case scenario looks like? So we showed a use case of a sales organization, you know, starting with their revenue, their profit, and the management of their workforce coming together, so that people can visualize kind of how they should deploy this at their own company. We also talked about technology innovation on the platform side, because everything that we are giving you on the application side is rest on our strong cloud services and application innovation. So for instance, we showed something called digitized maps, which is the ability to create layered intelligent maps on top of a visualization. So you can, in a manufacturing process, for instance, you can imagine you'd have a picture of a car or a motorcycle, and being able to have intelligent visuals for what's going on with this particular device or transportation vehicle. We also showed our integration with our cloud services. We showed streaming in real time and in place, and how you can bring these services together. I think there's a lot here that organizations might not have realized, that when you're a cloud-first analytics platform, what it means is you can add services and take them off. So turning on and turning off. So for instance, you need some data science. You turn on data science service and you turn it off. You need data catalog services. You can onboard them easily. So we showed them specifically how they could do that. So the keynote was designed to not be us, talking at you about, content that's abstract. It was customer examples, quick announce on what it is that we're doing for you, specific examples of customers, and specific examples of technology that can help you at your organization. And that's just the beginning part. After that, we did a customer panel, which I can tell you more about if you're interested.
Okay, so yeah, what were some of the insights from the customer panels? I'm interested in things maybe beyond HR and finance, or what what other areas do you see that where businesses can leverage analytics and data at the moment?
That's perfect, because the customer panel that we've followed up with was a global panel by design. So we had Mike from FedEx. Everybody knows FedEx, a large U.S. organization. We had Catherine from the UK Home Office, where you live. I think you might have met Catherine at one of our events. Amazing lady in the analytics space. And then we also had Stephen, the CIO of Kingold in China. So true global representation and a large breadth of use cases. So in the case of FedEx, this is financial analytics, and then operational analytics. I mean, Mike talked about this idea of how do I get data faster into my purview. The process of information flowed, he cut by a factor of 10x. So he talks about that. It's like, how can I see more data 10 times faster? So he talked about that. It was an amazing set of. He talked about the COE, how to build a center of excellence. And again, this customer panel was a 20-minute panel, so you'll get a lot of information in a short amount of time. Catherine runs the home office analytics. This is an organization that had to grow by 6,000 employees, and the hiring process was typically 150 days. She reduced it down to 50 days by identifying the points of failures in the hiring process. And she talks about that. An amazing organization. And if you don't know Catherine, you should really connect with her. She's been in the space for a long time. She has a lot of best practices around. She has this concept she calls the data owner. How do you make sure that people own the solution all the way to the end? And so she created this council with data owners, which is a great best practice. And then Stephen, CIO from Kingold, an organization. So Kingold is a large conglomerate in Asia. If the audience doesn't know them here, they really should check them out. And he talked about how he used data from images to be able to understand how to basically make his services to his clients better. So in the example, he's talking about they run parking, there's a real estate conglomerate, they've got other businesses and restaurants and so forth. One of the examples was, he's got these parking lots that are getting, too crowded, and he's able to organize cars by make and then charge people differently based on the information he sees through the photo of the cars, which is really unique and sophisticated. So lots and lots of great and broad use cases in that 20-minute customer panel. And it's just the beginning, because these sessions, Mike, for instance, a little bit later, has a dedicated session on what he did. So what we wanted to give people a sense of is what these customers were doing at a high level.
Very good. So if anyone wanted to get involved with our sessions, how do they do that?
They go to oracle.com/OA Summit. That's for attending the sessions we have already run. So the ones that we ran yesterday, and then the ones that we're going to run every week, starting next week. We also have 2 sessions that people are, interested in technology really need to bookmark. There's a session in June around our platform roadmap, and a session in July around our application roadmap. So if you're interested in technology and you're an Oracle customer, you're going to want to do that. But regardless, log in that environment, watch what's available, and then see kind of the flow of information that's coming, so you can pick what's useful to you.
Very good. I'm just looking at the stream. We've got Fatia from Algeria. Hi there. We've got Mohammed from Morocco. We have Paula from Colombia, and we've got Rui from Arab Emirates. Got lots of people from India. Pavan, hi. Swati, hi. In terms of Oracle helping customers, I know that you are passionate about this. You're all about creating this community. You're an amazing networker, connecting people, making this all happen. What are some of the things that Oracle is doing to help customers and support customers during the current crisis?
So there's a lot here. So I'm certainly in my answer, I don't mean to just be exhaustive of all the answers we have. I'll just be specific to the analytics business, because that's an area that that I'm very familiar with. So the first thing is this event. Think about it as it's just your supporting system. right? This is the place where you're going to be able to learn from the community and then connect with us. There are other vehicles where we can help you in areas that we haven't thought about. So for instance, if you have any questions, something you need to know about how the product works, something you need to know about where we're going in terms of direction, anything, so you need to find a partner in your geography, we have this simple URL you can go to. It is oracle.com/askoa, so ASKOA, so Ask Oracle Analytics essentially. And you can just put in here your question. You can type in your question. In fact, you can also video your question if you are courageous and you want to send us a video. But the point here is this platform is for you. This is your event. This is your career. You're investing in the software. We make the software to make you successful. So use that platform. We also have a facility to include you in the event. So we try to make it as easy as possible for you to co-create with us. So co-create this community would be, if you have a session that you want to suggest, go to oracle.com, call for papers. Actually, we'll give you the URL here, so you can put it in here. So it's easy for people to remember, but you can also suggest your own session. So if you have a best practice, you should do that. And by doing that, you're not just helping me, you're really helping your colleagues and the community. And then finally, we have this great facility here at HQ, which is what we call the CVC, which is the customer visitor centers, where people come and visit us, and we put on a day for them together so they can find out from us. Obviously, they can't do this anymore. So what we've done is we've created this facility. It's a simple link. It's oracle.com/OA virtual meeting. And again, I'll send you the link. And there, you just request, I want a product strategy session for my company. Mm-hmm. And we will put that day together for you in a digital manner. So again, give us feedback on the product, the experience, what we can do to help you be successful. And if you want us to create a day for your organization, we also now have created a vehicle through our online facilities to do that. So really encourage you to take advantage of it.
Very good. So, and if anyone has missed any of those URLs, Bruno and I will head to my YouTube channel and to the LinkedIn channel, and we will add all of those links to it so you can easily find them. I'm just having a look at a few more people. Jenny from Canada. Hi, nice little flag up there. Yvette from Peru. Dr. Izet from Turkey. We've got people from Florida and Texas and California. Bruno, a question I'm interested in is what excites you about the future? If you were to say, okay, these are the kind of developments that I'm seeing in this space, in the data space and analytics space, if you were to predict where analytics will make a really big difference in the future, what would some of the things that you would highlight there? What should people prepare for?
There's a lot. So and you've written quite a few books on this. So you're a better forecaster of future that I could be. I could tell you what I'm seeing that is extremely encouraging. I think the first trend that I'm seeing that is extremely encouraging is the world of AI and BI coming together. And I think this is encouraging for people that have been in the industry a long time. We've suffered a lot through the process of getting data together, or cleaning data and getting it ready, and then finally analyzing it. I think AI is going to make this process so much easier. So the point is we will get to insight a lot faster. So that's the first piece I think is exciting, is AI and BI converging in a way that's helpful for people that are in the data business. That's super interesting. The second piece, which is kind of related, is the idea that insights now can be embedded in everything that we do. So if I look at my life in general, I have data just everywhere, right? It's on my phone, and I have it in the form of simple dashboards that are related to my business, but I have it also in the form of insights about my behavior. I think our culture has evolved to accepting a lot of that. If you have an iPhone, every week on Sunday morning, you get information about your usage of your phone. And I think that's really interesting, because now we're starting to get familiar with it, and maybe we change our habits to it. we're now getting used to these little things here, and it's exciting that I feel like I've got an active way to make myself better as a human, and augment myself in a way that we didn't really have before, because the technology wasn't ready and maybe the culture wasn't ready. Maybe 10 years ago, if I told you that, you'd have so much data being thrown at you about your habits, your life, and so forth, you might have thought it'd be a little creepy, right? And so now I think our culture has evolved to that. And in fact, we rejoice when a device tells me something about me that I don't know about myself. That's the whole point, I think, of what we're doing. Is it's not just telling you what you expect or the answer to the question you have, but it's also giving you the answer to the question you didn't think you would have, and about yourself. That's even more powerful.
Yeah,
and then finally,
sorry.
I'm sorry. So I get excited about this. I'll just end on this last one, which is, I think, the answer to what is a gigantic problem we've had in the industry, is now that we have all this information and it's being brought to you in much better formats, and we start accepting it, is when we start now making changes in our habits and our behaviors. So we are becoming better. I think this last bit here has been really hard in the last 30 years. I think we spent a lot of time making beautiful dashboards and creating creative solutions, and you're talking about storytelling, and all that is necessary in its importance, but it becomes 10 times more important when we actually make changes in our daily life and in our daily work.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially around augmenting your insights, or extracting insights, automating it using AI, using some of the automated cloud tools that you now have. This is all really exciting for me.
Yeah. I think, this is where we're just scratching the surface on that, because now if you start using, cloud infrastructure with unlimited compute and limited storage, think about the world when you and I start in this industry, and the mindset was, business analysts know what the questions are. We know what data we should store, and therefore we only store those questions to answer the questions that we already kind of not know the answer to, but we know those are. Now we have transformed to, you know what? I can store any data that I want. It's essentially free. I can process it as fast as I can, and I'm going to discover things. I'm going to let the machine discover things that I didn't think about asking. Our world has completely, done a 180 in the last 30 years, and if we can embrace that and then now turn it into actions, is when we'll build better companies and hopefully create better lives for people.
Absolutely. Vivian was just asking here do you have any really good examples of bringing together BI and AI?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we spend a lot of time in how we build our products to do that. I'll give you actually not just one, I'll give you three. How about that? The first one, and I'll make this quick. The first one is this idea of cleaning data. If you're in the data process today, you know that your data analysts are spending 80% of their time bringing data together and cleaning it so it's ready for analysis. So at Oracle, we use artificial intelligence. So when you bring your data, we analyze it, we clean it, we complete it, and we protect it, which is another big piece of it. Is with a lot of the work that we've done with data analytics, not a lot of data is actually being protected. So if your social security number, credit card numbers, and so forth, you want the machine to recognize those patterns and then obfuscate the data, maybe give you the last few numbers, so you know where to trace it back. So that's one. So loading, securing data. The second one is what I call the empty canvas syndrome. So if you're in the NX world, you know what I mean. You open your dashboard, you've got measures and dimensions on the left or on the right, wherever the tool is. You're looking at it, and the tool is looking at you, and we don't know how to start. Well, we have this functionality called Explain, which is powered by a set of algorithms that will look at the connectivity or the connection between these dimensions and measures and start now proposing dashboards for you to build. So imagine that, right? So now you go from not knowing where to get started to the machine telling you, we think you should be reporting on these things based on your role. Very powerful. And the point there is, how can I get you to insights faster? And then the third one is this idea where AI is now starting to change its behavior based on your behavior. Here's an example. We have probably one of the most powerful a mobile AI analytics solution. It's free. You can download. It's called Day by Day, and it's an Oracle Analytics mobile application that's AI powered. What I mean by that, it knows. Now I've got to give it the right to know this, but it connects with my habits. It knows where I am, knows my calendar, knows my meetings, and it knows that now I have a meeting with Bernard. Maybe there is some facts I need to be aware of. I'm about to visit a customer, and my sales system tells me, here's the support cases they have. Here's how much money they've spent. Here are the products they have. The application pushes that to me, so I don't have to go and look for it. It also even customizes the visuals based on my viewing habits. So if I like pie charts or bar charts, it'll provide me that information in a way that's easier for me to consume.
Right. So you don't like pie charts too much, but
yeah, well, you don't want to eat too many of these pie charts. But the point is, those are examples that enable you to do what? To use the insight and actually act on it. And this whole pipeline and process that we've created over the last 30 years is going to be revolutionized by AI, because so much of what we've built with the machines can make our lives so much easier and focus us on where our value is, which is the creativity and the ability to impact change in civilization, culture, at work, and at home.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just again, as a reminder for anyone on LinkedIn or YouTube, feel free to submit your questions. We will try to answer as many of them as we can in this live session. But Bruno and I will also dive into those over the next day or two to hopefully answer as many of those questions directly. So we try to answer as much as we can. There have been a few comments on YouTube here as well. Jawad saying very kindly, "You're my hero, Bernard." Thank you very much. But Bruno, one for you here is Marinal is asking, is it important to learn coding skills for analytics?
Oh, that's a tricky one, because that really depends on your own aspiration. I would say, of course, I think if you're interested in learning some of these languages and Python and others, I would definitely advise you to do it. Now, is it important? Really depends on your role and your organization. I think what you'll see is there is a lot of solutions that now are being packaged. So it doesn't require you to learn how to code to be involved in the data analytics world. What I would say is always look to understand both sides of the equation. You want to understand the technical challenges related to data analytics. It doesn't mean that you have to be a data scientist and an expert, but understanding it and understanding how that works in general, I think, is helpful. And also understand the business part of the equation, which is how do people consume information, what's useful for our business to understand, and so forth. So I would say it really depends which track you want to go for, but at least understanding both of them at a pretty basic level, I would think is required.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Depends what you want. If you want to help the company really to extract insights from your data, coding is an important skill. But I think for me, especially merging AI and BI is opening up this whole world of analytics to anyone, even without any coding skills. We have new interfaces. We can have a conversation with our data. Data can be pushed to us. All of the examples. I think it's breaking down lots of those barriers for me.
Absolutely. I think that's what's going to happen in the next few years. And we talked about mobile, but voice is going to be the future interface of a lot of these systems. And so, I wouldn't obsess too much about being an engineer if that's not what you want to do. Figure out what you can be the best at in the world and focus on that.
There's one other question here from Sukorita Panika from India. Sorry if I didn't pronounce this correctly. How can analytics be used in predicting and surviving these unprecedented events like COVID-19? Very interesting, very topical question.
Yeah, so this is a great question. In fact, if you go into the OAS Summit experience that I talked about earlier, you'll see the example of a few companies that are talking about how they're doing that. I think that the first one is, and it depends on your industry, allows you to predict where your business is going in general, right? So depending, the various scenarios that you have. So scenario planning typically is probably the first area of your projection of where you think the crisis is going to take your business. Is it going to get better in 6 months, or is it going to change completely the logic of your industry? I mean, certainly if you're in the event business, for instance, you might, start digitizing your events, and then that's how you take care of it. So of where your business is going. So scenario planning is probably the first obvious area that I can think of, and it's kind of a finance type of analysis. Also, HR analysis of where your workforce is distributed and the impact of the crisis, depending on the various countries that are affected by this crisis, is another place where organizations are taking analytics. I would say in general, bringing those two concepts, finance and HR together to become better companies that are more resilient is where you'll see a lot of these scenarios. But you can imagine in marketing and sales as well, where the need for analytics is also going to be tremendous for companies that maybe are changing their spend from in-person marketing to online marketing and so forth. And so there's a little bit for every discipline, every department inside the organization. But I definitely would think that finance and HR, certainly from what we've seen, are the first areas that we see using the power of data analytics.
Very good. Julie Wagner from Adelaide in Australia is asking, what, in your opinion, has been the most impressive and effective pairing of AI and blockchain?
The best example, this is a great question. I don't know if this person saw the summit yesterday, but actually this is an example I can talk at length. And in fact, I would encourage you to go to the event, because we had General Electric, everybody knows General Electric, build this ledger system using blockchain inside the company. So it's kind of interesting. They have a fantastic dashboard on, really designing how a system can be built in transacting inside a complex, highly distributed matrix organization, and transaction being tracked and being secure through blockchain and analyzed using Oracle on top of analytics. So for me, I'm sure there are many more that you might be seeing, Bernard, but at least for me, in a real life example of something that's a little unexpected, because when you think about blockchain, you think about security outside your organization. This one is innovative because it makes it real, and like, it doesn't have to be that you don't trust each other. It has to be about the traceability and kind of building this ability to go back and understand the where that data point or that particular transaction came from. So take a look at what Gary from G has done. I think it's just tremendously creative and tremendously useful, I think, for the industry, because you can be deploying this at your organization tomorrow.
Fascinating, yeah. I like the idea of using this in healthcare, for example, where the blockchain part is to secure and encrypt the data, and then the AI role is to analyze this data and interacting those. For me, actually, some of the COVID-19 apps that are currently being developed, there's a real opportunity for me to merge AI and blockchain to make them work. But I've also recently come across another cool example, a company called Alpha Networks, that they created a blockchain powered entertainment platform that combines AI and blockchain that basically gives anyone proof of engagement, so you know exactly who's listened to what piece of entertainment, what kind of music, and triggers automatic payments to those that hold the copyright, which is quite interesting.
I see.
Very good. Vivian from Jacksonville in Florida says hello. Hello back. I think we are coming to an end of this session now. Is there anything else you want to summarize? You want to us with any intelligent thoughts, Bruno?
I would just encourage people to engage as much as they can. Just go to oracle.com/OA Summit, and don't just engage with me, engage with the community. That's how, we're all going to make each other better. And I would say, stay safe, stay home, and let us know how we can help you. We've got lots and lots of different ways on the digital front to help you out. And of course, we look forward to seeing everyone in person. But in the meantime, let's make sure we stay connected on a weekly basis to this Analytics Summit platform.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This was fun. For anyone listening to this, I will do another live stream on Friday at 2 p.m. UK time. So this is a bit earlier. And I will be talking about my new book, Tech Trends in Practice. What I will do now for the next 5 weeks is to look at 5 of those tech trends in turn and discuss them. So stay tuned. Until then, thank you very much. And Bruno and I will be heading to the comments and we'll try to answer as many of them as we can. So thank you very much and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, everyone.